Hi everybody, this is an unusual video because I have no participation in this video, apart from being here. I mean in the contents of this video, not actually being in the video. We're going to discuss something that was drawn to my attention recently. I have my own views on it, as I have my own view on everything. Basically, it's a school uniform. It's something that is going to be coming up in the next month or two with parents, rich and poor, looking to buy uniforms for their children. And each and every, I'm not saying all the rich believe one way or all the poor believe the other way. There'll be boundaries that each of them cross. But school uniform, it's my theory is about school uniform. I'll tell you that in a minute. But what I've got off the internet is pros and cons of school uniform. Okay? Pros and cons. And all I'm going to read is the titles. And this is pros. Uniform prepares students for work. I could read more. I may well do soon. Uniform gives students an identity. Prepare students for work. No. Gives an identity. Yes, I absolutely agree with that. Uniform marks something special. Yes, I agree with that. Uniform discourages value being put on looks. Yes, I agree with that. And these are all the pros. And then we go to the cons. School uniform can be expensive. I don't get this one. School uniform might attract criminals. Maybe. School uniforms can restrict individuality. I sort of get that one. Uniforms do not mean better grades. I absolutely agree with that. And then that's it. I think that's it. And then there's some other stuff on here. I could read through that. In terms of, let's go through them. In uniform prepares students for work. School uniform can prepare young people for formal attire associated with their world of work. I would disagree with that. It would come back to my ethos on uniform and my understanding of the reason that school uniform was introduced in the first place. It was introduced in the first place because once upon a time, when you're all in the same school and there's rich and there's poor, then the rich can go around wearing designer clothing and the poor are going around in a fucking underpants. Can't swear. They're going around in underpants. I can't swear. It's not monetated. So, look, my theory on school uniform is I get half of what they're saying there, and I do understand it is preparing people for work, that they should look smart, so on and so forth. I understand that. I don't think it improves your grades. I just don't. Does it give children identity? Yeah, massively so. Uniform marks something special. It makes you feel part of a club, and I absolutely agree with that. I don't disagree. And this is all the pros. Uniform discourages value being put on looks. That one I disagree with, because that one is a massive disagreement. And then in terms of the cons, school uniform can be expensive. I ain't telling any of you out there. I don't think I have anybody in my viewing audience that is rich. And I don't think any of you are looking there thinking, yeah, I could buy Johnny the most expensive uniform. You're just thinking, how the hell can I buy that uniform? And we'll get to that in a minute. School uniform might attract criminals. Can't say that word. Criminals. Naomi Pike wrote about her friend's experience. Besides the fact she was benefactor of total scholarship, the school placed her as part of the elite environment and saw her become the victim of mugging after school one evening. I think that's a very individual set of circumstances. Not sure about that. Anything can encourage crime. School uniforms can restrict individuality, and I get that part. Basically, what they're talking about there is, look, if you're an individual, and there's a lot of individuals out there, we're all individuals, but we're part of a society. So we're all individuals, so, you might want to grow your beard long, you might want to have long hair, short hair, you might want to dye your hair blue, pink, whatever. Individuality, and I think it goes a bit deeper than that. Obviously, there's different genders and subgenders in society nowadays, and that's what they're looking at. Is they'll say that person can't wear earrings, that person can wear earrings. So I understand that too. Like subgender, look, does it stop individuality? Yes, it does. And we'll come back to that in a minute as well. And there's uniform does not mean better grades. And I totally agree that what you're wearing doesn't mean you do better or worse at school. It just doesn't. I can wear what I want. I could go in my underpants and take an exam and I could still pass it. Might get thrown out, so I probably wouldn't pass it. But in terms of uniform, and this is my own vision of uniform, I believe uniform was introduced, I don't know when it was introduced. When I printed that off, what I was actually looking for was, when was school uniform introduced? When did it become something that people have to wear? I went to school from the early 70s to the late 80s, and part way I had school uniform, the original part I didn't, and I think the end part I didn't have school uniform either. I think the school uniform was originally introduced because you're right in what, or people are right in what they say, that's very expensive. It's like massively expensive. What schools need to realize is that they need to realize uniform's there for one reason, and one reason only. It's not to improve your grades. It's not to stop individuality. It's quite the opposite. It's to be inclusive, that everybody feels the same way and nobody feels left out. And in terms of style and making you feel part of the club, absolutely, I believe it does make you feel part of the club. So that was a pro. I would say it makes you feel part of the club. What I say is that club needs to include its lowest paid members, and it needs to say that, okay, this is what we want you to buy, and we're all going to wear the same, whether it's going to cost 50 quid for a school uniform or 100 quid for a school uniform. I'd say 50. I'd say less. I'd say you need to take into account the lowest person, the lowest common denominator in your you just gotta not get people wanting to go out or having to go out, not even wanting to go out, but having to go out and buy really expensive uniform. Like I say, I don't have kids, but I understand uniform can cost £150 for a uniform. That's mental. That is mental. And you can go to Asda's and buy, a pair of trousers, a pair of shoes, a blazer and a shirt for a kid. Way under that. Make that your school uniform. Make Asda's jacket your school uniform, and then give away a badge that you stitch on it. That's what schools should be doing. That is what schools should be doing. They should include everybody, and it should be the poorest to the richest. And I absolutely agree that Yeah, it should be making you feel part of a club, part of a team, part of something special. And I do agree. If you're part of something special, does that help you go on and achieve things better in your grades and in exams? Yeah, it probably does because you're part of a club. You feel the same. You don't feel left out. You don't feel excluded. The fact is that the way that uniforms are done nowadays, where they are excluding poor people, they're making them feel like they're not part of the club. When did it change? When did the ethos of school uniforms change? I'd like a principal or somebody in a school to come and answer my question because honestly, it should not happen. It should never happen. It should be the cheapest uniform. It should not be you've got to buy this for 150 or 200 quid for the uniform. It should be we're going to buy the basics and then we're going to stitch a badge on it. And that's how you get your club membership. Anyway, you may agree, you may disagree. You know, tell me. Take care.